Hey guys, what's up? It's Sleepy here, and today we're going to be talking about the game Dragon's Dogma Dark Arisen. Now before we get into this, I am still slightly sick from a cold, so my voice might sound a bit nasally during this, so I apologise for that. But anyway, for those of you who haven't heard of this game, you're probably thinking right now, what exactly is Dragon's Dogma Dark Arisen? When you first start off the game, you'll be introduced to the combat and controls with a generic knight character and his pawn that are off to slay the dragon atop the mountainous region before you're able to customise your own character that you'll be playing as for the rest of the game. The dragon then appears from thin air far out at sea and flies towards your hometown of a remote fishing village to start causing havoc on the world, which is where you bravely step up to fight the dragon, but fail miserably. Your still beating heart is then plucked out from your chest and swallowed by the dragon, although for no clear reason you are still alive. At this point you can choose which of the vocations you wish to play as. That's either a fighter that will deal with melee weapons like swords and shields, a mage that will handle staffs to deliver offensive and defensive magic, or a strider that uses bows and daggers. I'll touch back on this vocation system later, but while the dragon is threatening to destroy the land, you're mainly going after him to get your heart back. That's the newly made Arisen. And in this world, an Arisen is someone who has also had their heart taken from the dragon and has challenged the dragon to a fight to the death, which means you're next to challenge the dragon. Along the way, you will encounter a variety of NPCs, some of whom will give you quests pertaining to the main adventure, or side ones, with further quests being found on notice boards located inside inns that the player can stay in. The quests themselves are just as much in variety as the quests you might get in Fable or the Elder Scrolls games, so anything from slaying X number of monsters to collecting special items to escorting missions can be done in the game. The main objectives for the story, in my experience, are much more interesting and enjoyable to finish, as new characters get introduced without feeling too slow-paced, or feeling like you'll never reach the climactic face-off against the dragon who's called Gregory. Before leaving the safety of your fishing village, you'll be joined by an NPC that will help you along the way, a pawn. Pawns are essentially humanoids that come from the place called the Rift, and are servants to the Arisen that will fight alongside you and offer help in whatever way they can. The first pawn you receive is a stock one by the developers, but shortly afterwards you'll be given the ability to customise your own pawn who will join you for the rest of the game. You're also able to change your class whenever you like at the innkeeper's desk, so that you aren't stuck to the first vocation you took when you started the game, and as you level up you'll gain what's called discipline points, which are spent on yourself or your pawn to unlock a new class to try. The unlocked classes are permanent, so you can play as whichever one you like at any time, without feeling the need to restart the classes again or purchase them again, with a total of 9 vocations being available to the main player and 6 available to your pawn that you can unlock. You start the game with a basic vocation, a fighter, a strider and a mage, with advanced versions being a warrior, a ranger and a sorcerer that you can unlock for yourself or your pawn, and 3 hybrid vocations that are for the Arisen, aka you, only. Those are an assassin, a magic archer, and a mystic knight, with each class offering various advantages and disadvantages when you're in combat. The game's controls are, for the most part, pretty simple enough to use and understand. The most complicated it gets is getting used to how the aiming works for the mage and the strider vocation types, I would say. The most engaging thing Dragon's Dogma Dark Arisen offers is the ability to climb large monsters during fights, which is why it gets likened so much to the Shadow of the Colossus game. The ability to climb the monsters in the game makes the fights so much more fun and really enhances your experience that it actually feels like the fights are really happening, rather than just swinging a few times at a monster's feet until you hit their Achilles heel long enough to kill them. The dialogue is designed to be a faux Shakespearean style of language to match the fantasy setting of the world you are exploring, which, I believe, works and helps set the tone of the game. The voice acting, for the most part, is decent for what it's set out to do, and feels more suitably characteristic for some characters over others. The voice for the lunatic cult leader that wants the world to end really captures that sense of a misguided, fanatical leader with a fast dialogue and a passion in his speeches. These voices really help sell to you most of the characters you meet in the game world, from the sounds of the NPCs you encounter to the sounds you hear the monsters make. There are many incredible sound effects for the monsters in particular in this game, and they all pair so perfectly that it feels like that's how the monsters really would have sounded if they existed in the real world. Everything the game does for its sound effects, I think, is done amazingly well, and the voice acting isn't too bad either. The voice acting, I would say, could do with a bit of touch-ups here and there just to help elevate the game that little bit extra, but on the whole, it does what it's setting out to do, and it does it well. The best experience I think you'll have with the human characters will come at the very end of the game, where you meet either your previously made Arisen and pawn if you're playing offline, or a random Arisen and their pawn made by another player somewhere else in the world if you play online. So, in summary, I would say Dragon's Dogma Dark Arisen is a game that achieves its core goals, revolutionising the combat system so that there are no events like quick time events or cutscenes to detract from the feeling of naturally encountering a creature in the open world. Instead, maintaining a fast and fluid action style combat which makes its combat arguably better than its competitors, and creating a system where you can engage with other players around the world without needing to be hooked up to a server to play online with them. That being said, it does have its flaws. Some of these things may have been lost in translation potentially, or it could be down to Capcom's inexperience with developing Western RPGs, but unfortunately most of these problems will have to be resolved in a sequel to the game. As for myself, I'll give this game a rating of 8 out of 10. The story was satisfactory enough, but it could have done with a bit more originality just to push its boundaries a bit, in addition to having some more interesting side quests that don't feel like a chore to complete would be a good start. A few other minor tweaks here and there I feel would have really pushed and elevated this game to a much greater standing. If you've liked what you've seen here with the elements of Shadow of the Colossus and the Devil May Cry style of combat, coupled with the hardcore elements that can be found from Dark Souls, and generally enjoy the RPG genre of games, then I'd highly recommend it, even if only just to see how epic creatures should be made and how the fight should be fought with them. But for now, that's it. So I'd like to thank you all for watching, and I shall see you later.